What if I told you? Sound like an ESPN 30 for 30. But anyways, guys, what if I told you that the rules that you've been following for the entirety of your life, your whole life, guys, these rules that you never agreed to, at least not consciously and certainly not deliberately, but they're running everything in your life, from how you think to how you react to what you tolerate and to what you believe you're capable of. And the craziest part, guys, many of you continue to defend these very rules like they're yours. They're not, guys. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. I just finished a book, and it's called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Pretty simple on the surface, guys. 4 simple agreements. That's it. Pretty simple book. Not a long book, and I would encourage you to read it. I'll link it here, this book here. But underneath it all, guys, it's about breaking sort of the invisible contracts that you've been living your entire life by. Basically, said in another way, the indoctrination. So I wanted to use the book and sort of apply it to what I do here, sort of helping guys, especially in that sort of post 35 to 50, sort again, my core audience. But these are the beliefs, and I will say indoctrination because you really didn't have a choice in it, guys. These are the ones you picked up from your parents, school, maybe your church, whether it be, depending on your religion, your priest, your imam, whatever, your religious leader, society, relationships, in beliefs that you never questions. So instead of just sort of parroting the book and repeating what's in it, I'm going to take the lessons and try to apply them again to, men's sort of development, men's issue. And I'm going to make it real this way. So let's talk about how these things are going to show up in your life right now. Again, at 35, 40, 45, 50, and even beyond that, guys. When you know something is off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. All right, guys, let's start with agreement number 1. This is being impeccable with your word. So let's call it for what it really is, okay? Most men, I will say most men, but a lot of guys don't really have a discipline problem, especially guys that sort of follow my content or guys that are in the self-development, personal development sort of mindset. What they do have is sort of a self-betrayal problem. So what happens, guys, is every time you say to yourself, I'm going to start tomorrow, next Monday, first of the year, it doesn't really matter. Or I'm done with this, I'm over it, or I'm changing my situation. And then you don't. Okay, guys? You reinforce that one belief that I don't follow through. I lied to myself yet again, and then that becomes your identity. Guys, your brain listens to how you speak to it. And again, whether that is literally out loud, verbally, or sort of in your thoughts, your brain doesn't know the difference. So when you say something, your brain is taking note of that. And again, it's not always conscious, guys, but it's there. So when that sort of real opportunity starts to show up, what happens? Well, you hesitate because down deep, you don't trust yourself to execute. Why? Because, well, you've lied to yourself. You didn't have an impeccable word. And guys, that's the real damage here. So what's the shift from this one? Well, stop speaking sort of, loose and cavalier with your words. If you say something, it happens. Period. Guys, and this applies, again, to other people. When you say something, you make a promise, or to other people, keep that promise. But I think more importantly, and I think as it applies to the book and here, if you say it to yourself, it has to happen, guys. If you say, I'm going to do 100 push-ups, well then, get on the floor and do 100 push-ups. And you don't go to bed until you do. I know that's just an example, guys, but the same thing is for me. If I said I'm going to write 2 pages, well, then come hell or high water, I'm going to write those 2 pages. Because when you do follow through on the things, it starts to reinforce itself. Guys, I talked about non-negotiables in this video here, and that's what this has to be. If you say it, it has to be a non-negotiable. It's keeping your word to yourself. Or, guys, it's as simple as this. If you're not going to keep your word, just don't say it. Because your word isn't communication. What it is, it's identity. All right, guys, on to agreement number 2, or dose. Don't take anything personally. All right, easier said than done, guys. We're humans, we have emotions, but this one exposes how truly reactive most men are, especially in contemporary culture. You see it every day. People get so reactive, so emotional, and I understand it. But just because you think you're being disrespected, ignored, overlooked, or judged, but listen to me, stay with me here, guys. Let's flip that around. Because most people aren't thinking about you at all. Even if they say it directly to you, it is more about them. They're thinking about themselves. Shockingly, most people are very, very self-centered. They're talking, again, as I said, about themselves, their stresses, their issues, their insecurities, their problems, and yes, guys, their own bullshit. But you take their behavior and then you turn it into a statement about you. That's you being self-centered. It's you thinking that everything's about you. And this is where a lot of guys will lose control. They'll lose their temper. This is where they react emotionally instead of rationally. Because now your mood, your energy, your decisions, your entire day has now been thrown off simply by what somebody said. And worst of all, it could be somebody on social media, somebody that you don't know at all, said some stupid comment and you let it affect you. You're letting your life be dictated, by people who aren't even aware they're affecting you a lot of times. They may comment again, maybe you put a post out, a video, a picture, whatever, an opinion. And some goofball in Bangladesh made a comment and you let that affect you. Think about that, guys. You can't let that get to you. That is some weak ass positioning, if I'm being honest. And then the second is the moment that you stop taking these things so personally. You stopped reacting and you start choosing, thinking about your responses. That's where the real power starts. Guys, as I've said 1,000 times and I'll continue to say, remember, you're not culpable or at fault for what others do, but you are 100% responsible for how you react, or in many cases, how you don't react. All right, guys, let's move on to agreement number 3. And this one is sort of a silent killer because it feels like thinking. Assumptions feel like thought. But what it actually is self-sabotage. You're constantly running these sort of internal scenarios. They're running in your head. With your wife or your girlfriend, you think, oh, she's pulling away. She's distant. Or at work, my boss or my coworkers, they don't respect me. Or in your life, 35, 40, 45, 50, it's too late for me to pivot, to make changes in my life. And then you treat these thoughts like stone cold facts, like they're gospel, like they're the 10 Commandments, without any proof, without any real data or empirical evidence, just feelings. And then you make decisions based on these feelings. Guys, remember, and I will say this again, your primary, sort of direction, how you should be on reason, instinct, and emotion. Now, guys, don't take that as a binary, one-size-fits-all. But for the most part, most decisions in your life should follow that, sort of that step ladder, reason, instinct, and then emotion. Of course, there's times where things move around, guys, but again, think about the last time. When was the last time you made a knee-jerk emotional decision and it turned out to be the best decision? The answer is probably not very often, guys. So just, again, understand that. But this is how many guys will stay stuck for years, guys, literally years, decades. And it's not because of reality, but simply because unquestioned assumptions. Something somebody told you or sort of a parable you heard, especially as a child, as a young man, a young person, you heard these things and you've just assumed them. So here's the play, guy. Here's the move here now. You got to kill this story. Get down to the truth. Dig deeper. Find out the reality. Ask the questions. Have the conversation, especially the hard conversations, guys. Or simply detach and move on. All right? Don't let it fester. Don't let thoughts of what could be, what should be, and what ifs rule your life. Because when you stop living inside these bullshit narratives, that sort of shrink your life, you're able to grow and move forward. All right, guys, and on to the last agreement. That's number 4. This one sounds like one that could come from a little league coach, your mom or your dad, but it holds a ton of truth to it, guys. And this agreement is always do your best. This is the one, guys, that separate the talkers from the men who actually are going to change and sort of level up, get better in their lives. Everyone's going to tell you, guys, that they're doing their best. I'm sure you've heard it a million times. You've seen it. You may have even said it. I know I've been guilty of it. You're fucking not. And as the young cats say, guys, that's no cap. It's no bullshit. They're doing what is comfortable, what is convenient, what is easy, guys, what requires the absolute least resistance, okay? But when your best actually shows up, guys, here's when it shows up and when it really matters. When you're tired, when you don't feel like doing it, and you still execute. Getting up at 5 a.m. when that alarm clock goes off to go to the gym because you told yourself you did. Again, talking about impeccable word, this ties in. When you don't feel like it, you still move. Now it's 5 a.m., the alarm goes off, and you're sore, you're tired. You still do it. When you'd rather sit there on your phone and scroll mindlessly and look at TikToks and my YouTube videos because they're really good, but instead you choose discipline. You read the book. You go to the gym. You finish the work project. Whatever it is, guys, you choose discipline over ease. And that's your edge, and that's when it really matters. Guys, when you're motivated, when you're feeling good, fresh, and all these things, and everything lines up perfectly, the stars are aligned, it's easy to act then. It's hard when you're tired, frustrated, bored. You've done it for the 100th time, 200th time. That's when it's hard. But that's when it matters. And guys, as I've talked about before, this all compounds. And over time, consistency is going to beat talent every time. Forget that old coach is saying it's something along the line, consistency beats talent when talent doesn't show up. I don't know the exact quote. I'm going to link it up here, guys, because it's coming in my head and I can't recall it. But I'll put it up there for you. Good quote. Consistency is going to beat motivation every time. Basically, guys, consistency beats everything. All right, guys, as we get toward the end, as always, I'm going to give you sort of the uncomfortable truths. As always, guys, you don't need a new plan, right? You don't need more content. Maybe another one of my videos, maybe 2. Again, just sort of joking aside, guys, but you don't. You don't need to do this endless content, watching videos, reading the books, watching the next TikTok. You don't need another sort of major quote-unquote breakthrough. What you need to do is stop violating the standards that you already know you should be living by. Guys, I've talked about this before. You have to have standards in your life. And if you don't, start now. Pause the video. Write down some standards and some non-negotiables that are going to be part of your life starting today. And I'm serious, guys. If you need to pause the video, please do so and then come back. Because right now, you're not confused. What you are, and you know this, you're avoiding. You're avoiding the discomfort. You're avoiding decisions that need to be made. Need to be made. And you're avoiding responsibility. Guys, we talked about that earlier in the video as well. And then you put this under the guise of I'm figuring it out, I'm developing a plan, or whatever, sort of language you want to put on it. But you're not figuring it out, guys. What you are is delaying. You're kicking that can down the road. You're procrastinating yet again. Guys, take it from the king of procrastinators. When I was young, holy shit, that I would, if I had a nickel for every time I said, I'll get to it later, or I'll do it later, I'd have been retired 3 times over. But moving on, guys, you've got to stop the procrastination. You've got to take action. All right, guys, so I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to leave you this sort of a challenge. Pick one of these 4 agreements, and I mean just one for now, and actually live it. Sort of embody this. And I mean for real, guys, and I'm not even joking. Take one of these. 30 days. That's not a long time, guys. It's going to go by in no time. No excuses. No negotiating with it, guys. Remember, non-negotiables. and no bullshit. Okay? And carry this out for 30 days. See what happens. Is it a net positive? I think it's going to be. If it's a negative, come back to me and let me know. But guys, once you stop breaking your own word, you'll stop breaking yourself. Guys, I appreciate you. I think this is a really good video, and I really encourage you to read the book. It's not long, but it's sort of poignant, and it makes a lot of sense. Remember, guys, do me a favor. Hit that like, hit the subscribe, drop comments below, and forward this to somebody you think could use the video. And as always, guys, remember, live deliberately.